let's talk a little bit about Carol Kaye.
Mm-hmm.
One reason that it's kind of cool to talk about Carol Kaye in a guitar-bass duo is that she played both guitar and bass.
Yeah, started out as a jazz guitarist.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And kind of, I mean, as the story goes, which you probably know better than I do, someone didn't show
Yeah.
on a recording gig.
Yeah, and the producer just looked at her and said, Carol, do that.
Yeah.
And she's a good accidental bassist.
Yeah, and she does it well, and she's got she writes very lengthy articles and comments on Facebook, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, those are fun to read if you have.
They are.
I think she is absolutely wonderful, but man, it's fun to read those.
They are fun. They are fun.
Yeah, she has no tolerance for stupid.
Yeah.
It's but she is getting up there.
Yeah.
She's not a young woman, and she just doesn't care.
Yeah. So she's got these books, electric. She's got tons of books, but I was just telling John before our live stream that this past weekend I was reading through her Electric Bass Lines book, book one. I think she's got at least 4.
I think so.
More. Yeah. But very, very fun. Very fun to read. And when I sit down to I actually don't have a ton of time to practice, but so a lot of times it's like I'm warming up to record or warming up to go play or something like that. But I still like to have those moments of practice and just like try to work on some musicianship things.
Yeah.
So I pulled this book out and just read through some things, practice subdividing. I like to subdivide out loud. I like to kind of do the opposite, which is just count beats.
Right.
Things like that. But I'll count different segments. Like I'll just one and, or sometimes I'll do one and, or sometimes I'll see if I can do a subdivision that's not the subdivision that I'm dealing with.
Right.
Just to kind of like get that little contrary thing just for...
It stretches you.
Yeah, it stretches. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah.
Is I try to stretch myself a little bit. So it was really nice, take the bass line, pretty short, and play around with it. Mm-hmm. So do you have any books of hers that you particularly enjoy or just in general following her?
I have just, I followed her for years. I've got a couple of the books, and I've played through them on and off. They're kind of on my list of, okay, you're playing like an idiot. Stop, focus, kind of align the gray matter again.
Yeah.
Because, they're fun, and some of it is not easy. Some of it is, which is... You can see where, and I bet she would argue with me about this, really comes from a guitaristic point of perspective.
Interesting.
That is kind of, so her bass lines are not what you expect. They're far more melodic. Which I think is why, she's talked about this, where a lot of times they weren't given written bass parts. They'd get a chord sheet. Mm-hmm. And the producer would be like, all right, guys, you come up with something.
With something. Yeah.
It's like, here's the feel, here's the key, here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'll get with you in 5 minutes. And they would sit and make it up.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. Yeah, when I was, in my earlier years, I was suggested this book by Tommy Tedesco.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was a studio guitar guy.
Yeah.
Really excellent reader. It's really inspiring to read about him and stuff. But yeah, so the whole studio thing is interesting. Where you might have specifically written parts, or you might be part of that creative process.
Yeah.
Like maybe she's trying to line up with the bass drum but bridge that harmony thing and
right. Yeah, and because if you're doing a movie session, movie soundtrack, it's going to be very written.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, pop tunes, as they used to call them, very written mostly. But she even talks about how some big hits, you know, they would basically kind of play the rough version, and then the band would go, oh, okay, and come up with something really cool for it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that's just so neat. But that's also why they were doing 2, 3, 4 sessions a day.
Yeah.
That group. I will not call it the Wrecking Crew because she hates that name.
She doesn't like that.
No, she says Hal Blaine came up with that name for marketing purposes, and she's angry about it.
That's funny.
But yeah, she and Tommy Tedesco and Hal Blaine and all those guys.
Yeah,
that's their thing. And if you listen to anything from the 60s and early 70s, it's them.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of stuff with other people, but the big stuff, it's them.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something that, you know, viewers might want to just think about in general. I mean, there are so many different types of musicians out there. You know, you've got singer-songwriters, you've got people who support singer-songwriters, and, you know.
We've done a lot of that.
Yeah, we have. You know, there are those functions, you know, like at maybe a retirement home, like I just did, or a wine bar. Like you have a regular.
I got in every Sunday at a.
Yeah.
So, and it's they each bring their own set of requirements.
Yeah.
And annoyances and complications and.
Yeah.
But I know we've done a million wedding receptions and corporate cocktail parties, and that's what musicians will call wallpaper music.
Yeah.
A lot of those.
Yeah, you kind of play a little background. You kind of keep the mood.
Yeah,
it makes people comfortable.
Yeah, it does, and
so that you serve a purpose.
And whoever hired you, it makes them look good.
Yeah,
that's part of your job is to make your host look good.
Right.
Because let's face it, they're writing your check. So but it's usually a point of pride for them saying, hey, look at this cool band I hired.
Yeah, absolutely, and like we played a gig on a balcony in Georgetown, neighborhood in DC, and
that was a really nice gig.
That was a nice gig. That was beautiful. One of my guitar students who's still with me, that was his good friend, and he wanted to treat his wife to this event, and she's delighted, and
that was a gorgeous, amazing apartment that they had.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That was a really, really pleasant gig. So you get some great ones, then you get some where you just want to scream. So, but it's like any other job.
Yeah, exactly. So, what are some things you've been playing lately? Any like tunes or techniques or anything?
Well, I'm constantly working on this thing. It's like Dominic DiPiazza and Hadrian Farad.
Okay.
And some of these guys, they do instead of they will do this right hand normally like you'd see a bass player.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is they're doing thumb in 1, thumb in 1, 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Watching Dominic DiPiazza do it is unbelievable.
Okay.
He is so fast and so accurate.
Nice.
And he's soloing these really amazing ideas at just blinding speed.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting back, la, 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 but this,
wow,
and this he can, and I'm trying to get the, it's almost a tremolo kind of.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Bruno would do something like that too. You follow him a little bit, but he would kind of like, I think even with hybrid picking, he would have a pick and then do like 2-finger kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. How about 1 string? Do you ever do that technique on 1 string?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because it's easy to reach over. Your hand wants to reach.
Yeah.
It's just a little more comfortable, but then trying to. You know?
Yeah. Because watching some John Scofield videos, I've noticed that he'll do that sometimes. At least that's what I think he's doing. Where it's almost like, I think we may have talked about this. It's almost like the inverse of a pick, where your down thumb
Right.
is the top side of a pick, and your index is the floor side of the pick.
Yeah.
In a sense. So it's like you've taken the pick sides and taken them apart. Almost.
Yeah.
That's how I visualize it. But yeah, it's hard. It's kind of hard, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't put a lot of time into it, but I should put more into it. But
Yeah, I'm finding arm position is everything.
okay.
And I noticed that the bass players who do this technique,
Yeah.
they're like this.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, 'cause you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it is easier.
Okay.
This way.
Yeah. Well, that's how classical guitar. That's how they
Oh,
hold.
very much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is totally from classical guitar.
Yeah.
And from flamenco guitar. And again, if people have ever watched us on our other stuff, I'm a huge Carlos Benavent fan.
Yeah.
Just the guy's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he's with a pick and a little bit of hybrid.
Wow. That's cool.
And it's really incredible. It is so cool. There's just that stuff. It's working on
Yeah.
the mechanical
Yeah.
and trying to find new ways to do it. New sounds. I ran headfirst into 60 years old last month. So now even more than I was.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, okay, nothing extra hurts right now, but I want to avoid it.
Okay.
Sort of guitarist bassist health thing.
Yeah.
Where you're worried about, and I have customers who come to me to work on their instruments, like, oh, my right hand is killing me.
Yeah.
And I look at their instruments and the action is half an inch up. I'm like, all right, we're going to drop the action. You have to lighten up.
Yeah.
So I end up giving them a technique lesson.
Yeah.
Or they say the left side of my neck hurts.
Okay.
That means you've been lifting this shoulder. That's what that tells me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm like, okay, so your left shoulder is hurting, it's left side of your neck, and then it's down the left side of your back. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, drop your shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah. Drop your shoulder. Yeah.
Sometimes you just kind of have to strip apart your technique
Yep.
and rethink it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're feeling pain, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think Jim Hall, for example, he had a lot of back issues, and he's kind of came over the guitar a little bit.
Yeah.
Great player, but yeah, there's just some things to be aware of health-wise when you play the guitar for a really long time, and yeah, just to have, especially when if any younger people are watching, now is kind of the time to really be thinking about it when you don't feel
right.
pain, because I can tell you, I got a ton of pain in my back, lower back, and I complained about it to a doctor, and I thought maybe it was just like from, I mean, I'm not that much of a sports guy, but played around a little bit when I was younger, and I was like, well, I've injured myself somehow. I just didn't realize it, And I said, no, you're sitting down with a guitar. Right.
That's yeah.
So a lot of times I'll do just that in my lessons. Like if I'm sitting for 5 hours, this is how I'm holding it most of the time.
This makes sense.
Yeah.
In the end, holding it like this is very rock and roll.
Yeah.
And but shifting it over to the left, like, it makes sense. It is mechanically so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, the right hand is, you don't have to be as extreme with your wrist, because it puts it at that. And that's how banjo is too.
Yeah.
You're just at that angle.
It just automatically lines things up.
Yeah.
It's like, my teacher always told me, he's like, playing a guitar or bass is like one of the most unnatural things you can do. It is just not a normal thing. He's like, he was really funny. He's like, I don't care what they tell you. These aren't made for humans. This is just no. So yeah, so shifting the technique over. It's like even watching like Matteo Mancuso, which is just unbelievable. Even when he's playing standing up, you'll see a lot of times he's shifting.
Okay.
While he's playing standing.
Yeah, I've noticed that angle. Yeah,
because it unbreaks his wrist.
Yeah, your wrist is then straight. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then he plays even faster.
Right. Let's
if you haven't seen Matteo Mancuso, go watch his.
I can imagine everybody. I think, I would hope so. I mean, if not, definitely go check him out.
Yeah,
he's pretty established at this.
At
this juncture.
All of 27 years old.
Yeah, nice.
It's it is unbelievable. His thing with Rick Beato is really, that discussion he had was really fantastic.
I still haven't seen that. I need to see that.
And then Beato also did one with Matteo Mancuso and Mateus. I can never think of this guy's last name. Anyway, so Matteo plays flamenco style, basically. And this guy Mateus plays with a pick.
Yeah.
And the two of them are just unbelievable. So they're just sitting here talking, well, I do it like this. I do it like this. I would be happy to get every 10th note the way they're playing. It's just fantastic. I love that. It's, so, like Jim was saying, while you're young, work it out.
Yeah, work it out. And, play with, maybe play around with holding it that way. Take frequent breaks if you're practicing a lot.
Yeah, and like I say, if it starts to hurt, stop.
Just be aware and play light. I think it's helpful to just be have a light touch on the instrument.
Oh yeah, that's so you're gonna have to lower the strings. Go see your neighborhood tech. Call me if you're in Baltimore. Get the strings down, get the neck straight. Get it really set up for you so that you can lighten up. Like I just refretted an old Ibanez 6 of mine, and I put mandolin frets on it.
Okay.
Which are really tiny, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So the action at the 12th fret on that bass is a 32nd of an inch.
Wow. Okay.
It is tiny. It is really low. It's like my Chapman stick, so it's really cool. You can play it one-handed.
Yeah.
But it takes nothing.
Wow.
On the right hand.
Yeah.
And you just barely touch it. And
it goes.
I'm convinced that's how everything should be. But so what have you been working on?
So what have I been working on? So I've been in my videos, I've been doing like close-ups of my right hand and left hand. So, anytime I do one, I spend some time watching some things. So, my pick, the way I'm holding the pick has evolved a lot over time, and I would say when I mainly played live, I was maybe a little bit looser than I should have been with my picking technique. And but I've noticed like recording and listening to isolated tracks that it's really beneficial to do it, the method book, textbook way.
Right.
So I've been really working on just kind of partly just to be a good example. So like in my lessons, I try to be really diligent about holding it kind of this way, wrist and everything, because I'm telling people to do it that way. And so there's that. And then in the video, I want anyone who's interested in technique to look at, the left hand and the right hand, but to look at that. So I've been working at that. And I think I've made some progress on it. So I'm feeling pretty good on that in general. One thing I'm kind of somewhat concerned about, and I think that I got this from listening to a recording that I really liked, and I don't remember which one it was, but there's just like this bending thing, and I've noticed I've been like kind of really bending sharp, like on some like ending notes, and partly just because I kind of like it, but I feel like it's a little over the top sometimes. So
well, it puts a little bit of brightness right at the end, and it's kind of a little bit of punctuation.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll do that too. Especially on fretless. So just just a hair to get you over everything else. It's sitting above, and it's wrong.
I know, and it's like I think it was a recording of Blue and Green. It was a vocal version, and the guitarist was like kind of like doing the sort of rock but jazz. Like this was like legit jazz. And I don't remember who the guitarist was, but I just somehow I think it got into my subconscious, like, I like that. Like, I like that bend there. Like, that's cool. And so I've been noticing myself kind of doing that. And so I listen, like, I go through this process of like listening before I release, and then I'll go through this process of listening, and I'll be like, should I have released?
There's a release regret. Is that kind of what it is?
But it's weird listening back, because sometimes I'll notice little things like if I'm like a little bit hungry, like I'll hate everything that I've ever recorded ever,
Yeah.
But then if I've had like lunch and I'm like satisfied, I listen back, okay, it's all right. So I don't know, but it's hard to listen to oneself, I think.
I hate listening to myself. I really do, and I've been working on, actually, to get over that, I have been working on consistency.
Okay. Yeah.
Like you and I talked about off camera.
Yeah.
Consistency with the bass player is kind of everything.
So when you say that, you mean like volume level, timing?
Volume level, timing, and attack.
Yeah.
I tend to use attack as, well, it's a flavor. I'll use it as punctuation. I'll use it as part of the phrasing.
Yeah.
Some guys are very, one attack, that's it. I play fretless. I get to move around.
Yeah.
So I like to do that. But in the end, I've got to make sure if I'm going to do that at all, if I'm going to shift things around the tune, I have to zero in even tighter on where it's happening. It's, you can play with it, but you can't move, or you can move it and not play with your attack. If you're doing both, you better be working with people that you really trust, because it's going to just explode if you're not careful. The timing will get off.
Yeah.
So it's because, if I'm, playing, if I'm nice upright-ish, but if I'm going to go, it's a much sharper, much tighter attack. I've got to tighten up on that line to make sure that it's, I can't lay back as much as, I can really kind of sit back on this. But if I'm gonna, I've got to, my timing has to be better.
Got it. Yeah.
Because it will just sound wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I also work on that. I mean, there's certain things when playing improvisation where I want to like have this gradual, especially like ending a phrase. I just want to have this little gradual behind the beat thing happening. But it's really kind of surprising to me sometimes, like how little it is that makes that work. It's not big gaps.
No, it's very tiny adjustments.
Yeah.
yeah, you listen to the great players and you realize that they're so in control of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is milliseconds.
It really is. Yeah.
You know, and it's so much fun to play with.
Yeah.
But it is so easy to get it just miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm constantly trying to strike a balance between not being too rigid and stiff and not being too loose and just finding degrees in that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a really big deal thing in musicianship. Yeah.
Well, it is. I know my teacher a million years ago would have me. Well, he had suggested I use a metronome. I hate metronomes, but one of the things he had me doing was just set it at like 60, because we all know 60.
Yeah.
It's in our head, and then practice playing slightly ahead of it and slightly behind it, and increasing those intervals.
Yeah.
And just going back and forth, literally just.
Yeah.
You know, and then just basically going around like that and keep doing it.
Yeah.
To get it in your head.
Yep. Yep.
It's useful.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very, very useful thing to do. You could do it. I've tried that with like a drum app.
Okay.
It's harder. It's harder to sort of hear it clearly.
Yeah. And I'm wondering where people are at with using, a lot of people are using the iReal Pro, which I think is a good thing, but
Yeah.
But probably shouldn't be done exclusively. I think it's good to use a metronome and play changes without any backing and a variety of things. But yeah, I'm wondering how that's affecting timing and.
A good question.
Yeah.
Good question, because we've both heard some players where you're like, oh, dude, we need to talk. You know,
Yeah.
Got to do. There's work to be done.
Yeah.
We all always have work to be done, but sometimes it's really obvious.
Yeah.
No, I think you really should play by yourself with metronome.
Yeah.
I think you should sit and record yourself.
Yeah.
By yourself.
Yeah.
No other flavors, no effects.
Yeah.
No, just you.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you really clearly hear what's happening. And if you clean that up, then everything else you add is just better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot about playing simple.
Mm-hmm.
Playing. I often I try as general practice is to play with some sort of intention or some sort of direction or something that plays off of the thing that I just did. So leaving space and
letting the tune breathe is it's so important. Even Eddie Van Halen let the tune breathe. It's a shred fest, but still, but there was room.
Yeah.
When you take the room out and it's just this constant thing, then it's just noise.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to listen to.
Yeah.
Your brain just does not want to focus on that. But you brought up playing with intent. I've had that discussion with mutual friends of ours, drummers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a big topic. People think about it more than they will admit.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the point of this?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the point of this tune, this phrase, this series of notes? Being really aware of the intent that you're bringing to it.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Because the audience will hear it.
Oh, they will. Sorry. Oh boy, I need translation here. Got a comment here. La première fois. I did take French in high school. It's been a long time. Do they have an auto translate?
I don't know. My mother spoke French. I didn't learn a word of it.
Let me do a quick translate here.
It is kind of sad.
Thanks for your comment. I'm gonna.
We're gonna
translate.
Take a look. Here we
detect language. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Yeah, this is the first time in a long time that I've progressed so quickly in musical practice. Thank you. I'm trying to subscribe completely didn't work. I'm going to try again. Okay.
Well, yeah, please stick with it. Don't know what's
Yeah.
holding it up, but
Yeah.
if it's still is giving you problems, I guess because Jim, this is his site and runs it all.
Yeah.
After we do this session, you can
Yeah.
jump on and help him
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's pretty
absolutely.
cool.
Sounds like he's made a lot of progress, though. Maybe with these videos.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
That would be nice. It's having a positive impact somewhere. That would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, keep trying. Jim will help you if you still get stuck.
Yeah.
Send him a note and
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
and tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Yeah, it's awesome. We have a following. I'm not sure if you're French Canadian or actually in France. But yeah, thanks so much. People all around the world. And it's so cool to do something that's enriching.
Yeah.
Pick up an instrument and play some lines, do some art.
Mhm.
Whether it's a hobby or you're gigging or whatever. I mean, you're bringing something good,
Yeah.
and this world with a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I have often, probably too much, quoted Tom Waits, when he got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something.
Okay.
He said, music is the greatest thing you can do with the air.
Wow.
And I went, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
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 That's
absolutely. It's an amazing thing because it feels so clean in a way. Like it's not tangible, and it's I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like you can take part in something that I don't know, it's hard to describe.
It can be just pure creation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of work to get there so that you then have the freedom
Yeah.
to just, play what you think.
Yeah.
We're all still trying to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's part of what it is. It's painters will say the same thing. I had an uncle who was a kind of big time artist, and he's a painter and sculptor and potter. And he loved those things. He goes, the house could be burning down.
Yeah.
He's like, but I've got this.
Yeah.
I'm creating this.
A little light in the world.
Yeah.
And who am I thinking of? The Pablo Casals. He's quoted. I'm always skeptical about these quotes. You know this quote? Yeah. He's like 93, and he's like, people are asking him why he's practicing. He's like, well, I think I'm getting a little better.
Yeah.
I think I'm making progress.
Yeah.
And there's a beauty to that, Yeah, no worries on not speaking English. Thanks to Google. I'll just stick it in translate, but I absolutely appreciate your comments. Thanks for writing in.
Yeah, thank you so much. And there's so much going on. All right, so we've gone through all this technique and all this. Who are you listening to?
So I really like listening to Snarky Puppy lately. I don't know what it is. It just does it for
I think
me.
we all do. Yeah.
I just like I can pretty much put on anything that they do, and I'm just like, wow, this is really entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's taking me on a ride here.
Yeah. It is. It goes places you just don't expect at all.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have this list now that's like Snarky Puppy, Dirty Loops, some Jacob Collier.
Yeah.
Some of it makes me a little nuts, but that's my problem, not his.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some of these bands that they're just so good. Wolfpack and Corey Wong.
Yeah.
Either Corey Wong with Wolfpack or by himself. Just fantastically good stuff.
Yeah.
There's a band called the Hunter Tones.
Okay.
A lot of the guys from the Hunter Tones play in Corey Wong's band. They're part of the Wong Notes. And then other guys from the Hunter Tones play with Lawrence, which is another one of my favorite bands right now. I mean, Lawrence is just it's just so good. It just makes me happy.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And there's another band I've been listening to, Sammy Ray and the Friends,
Okay,
along the lines of Lawrence-ish.
okay,
Another New York band, stupid good.
okay.
I mean, just
Yeah,
yeah, just wonderful.
yeah.
And it goes places you don't expect,
Uh-huh.
and the level of musicianship is ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a lot of fun.
yeah, yeah.
And who did I find yesterday? The YouTube algorithm worked and showed me something new,
Okay,
and it's called Winnetka Bowling League.
okay.
Great band name, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of sort of Weezer, Fountains of Wayne-ish.
Okay.
It's really good. just a really cool band.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, all right, go figure. I've been listening to them.
Yeah.
But again, this level of musicianship that's out there right now.
It's it's astounding.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think I told you, I got to see Dirty Loops.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, they do that live.
Mm-hmm.
My son and I stood there just going, holy crap, that's
Yeah.
just incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was fun, and, people were dancing and having a great time. And,
Awesome.
yeah, as it should be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that crowd, we figured the youngest person there was probably like 7, and the oldest person there had to be in their 80s,
Okay.
which to me, that means you won.
Yeah, yeah. That's music that transcends,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So, any guitarists you've been listening to much lately?
Guitarist, guitar. So, I've been working on doing a kind of a variety of things. So I do listen to some classical guitarists. I have some mild and modest classical aspirations. I aspire to play, some things somewhat well. I don't intend to become like a virtuoso on a classical guitar, but
There's your next T-shirt. I want to play some things somewhat well.
well, the thing is, it's like music is so vast. I mean, I like specializing in improvisation and sort of the that whole puzzle. To me is just endlessly fascinating. But I really like some of the Brazilian guitarists, that Brazilian tradition, and I dabble in listening to I think his name is Jason View, and he's just really impressive and has some really great talks. He seems pretty pragmatic and down to earth about what he's talking about, so I really appreciate that in his playing. So yeah, some things like that. He did some recordings of Matheny's compositions maybe a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So he's been someone I've been kind of listening to a little bit. But in my efforts to record, I listen to kind of variety of music. So I'll listen to Scruggs and
Yeah.
so I'll try to play some banjo and I'm just so I just enjoy the sound of a plucked string. I don't know what it is.
Hey.
But a variety of people. I mean, I still listen to John Scofield and Mike Stern. They just recorded that one tune, Tipitinas. So a lot of times when I'm listening, I'll listen in a way that I'm trying to get to it, like you know what I mean. So, but when I get on the road and I've got control of the the thing. A lot. I like funky kind of, and I don't the some of the Snarky Puppy. Like I don't even know who the guitarists are. Like, but I appreciate, like, oh, I listen to their solo. I'm like, oh, that's really good. And that I know that they kind of play like strats and stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm just sometimes that's like, oh, okay, because I like been more like Gibson, tradition, but sometimes I'm like, oh, Strat, okay.
Yeah, I think they're very, because it's the bass player's band. And he writes most of the stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's very careful and he's very aware and clever with his use of instrumental colors.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where that Stratty thing comes from.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you've got like Corey Henry playing organ and I can't think of the other keyboard player. I really like him. And you've got a lot of stuff going on, and big horn things, and so that does cut through. You can really hear him playing with color.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Because like you listen, it matches. Because if you have a horn solo, it's going to be bright, and then you have like a guitar solo with a little gain on it. It sounds bright. It sounds like it's cutting. Whereas like kind of more mellow thing might just be too much of a
it could
right turn
easily get lost.
Yeah,
and especially when you've got a band where you might have 15 people in there or something. The size of that band varies all over the place. And you got to get above it. It's
cool. Got another cool. Okay, precision. Precision of the themes you taught. Cool.
So
yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Cool. I got some comments. Like I said, I haven't streamed a real long time, so I wasn't expecting a huge audience today, but I'm glad some folks turned out and left some comments. So I'll probably leave this talk up and let people check it out. Don't forget to check out John's cables.
Yeah, you can find me on just social media.
Yeah.
Just search me. I'm on all of it. And I'm starting to play with Mastodon and Blue Sky.
And your company's name
is called Instrument Audio.
Instrument Audio.
It's sort of to the point.
Yeah. And you have a Facebook page, right?
Yeah.
I thought you did.
So, because I do cable, I do instrument repairs, I do.
Yeah.
I got 5 or 6 instruments in right now to work on.
Very cool. Yeah. Gift for the the technical and soldering and preamps and
it's fun.
When I do that, I just end up throwing things and putting my hands up in the air and no, I'm just
I find it a very zen activity. I can put on music and sit and just make stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
me and a soldering iron don't mix well, unfortunately.
Most people are that way.
So I'm not alone. So
I've had friends like send me pictures of burns. So I'm like, oh, just back away. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I mean it's a funny thing. You either heat it too much or too little, and get cold soldering. That's a mess.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Leave it to John.
Yeah, just give me a call.
Take care of it.
I'll fix it up.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap up for today. I hope we can do this again soon, and get the live stream rolling here. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you all in the next one.
See you next time.